Elucia used to be an ordinary human, but one day, he suddenly finds himself reincarnated as a dragon egg, placed into the world without parents or protection. The first thing he sees is a screen, followed by a voice in his head informing him that his status window will display information about his abilities. While this seems useful, Elucia quickly realizes that hearing a voice inside his head is something he should probably be worried about. The voice explains that she is part of a skill called Divine Voice, and her role is to explain matters related to his status and abilities. When Elucia asks whether this world is some kind of game, the voice refuses to answer, explaining that the Divine Voice skill is only level 1. He then asks if she can at least tell him where he is, but once again she refuses to answer any questions unrelated to his status. Frustrated, Elucia becomes agitated, causing his egg to start rolling until it eventually falls off a cliff. By the time he finally stops, the system informs him that he has gained falling damage resistance, though it comes at a cost, as his HP drops by 1 point. Since he only has 5 HP total, this loss is significant. Elucia continues rolling and reaches the edge of a lake, where he sees his reflection for the first time in this world. That is when he realizes the truth. He is literally just an egg. The system confirms that he is a dragon egg monster, and if his shell is destroyed, he will die instantly. Elucia is already distressed, but things worsen when the system explains that dragon eggs are powerless and possess single-digit intelligence. At the moment, rolling is the only action available to him. While dragon eggs have the potential to become fearsome dragons once they hatch, the chances of surviving long enough to do so are extremely low. Elucia begins to panic, and his shaking causes him to roll down a slope and fall off another ledge, reducing his HP to 3. Realizing how close he is to death, he decides to stay completely still for the time being, as he cannot risk taking any more damage before nightfall. Eventually, his HP regenerates, allowing him to move again. He slowly rolls across the ground, thinking about what his life as an egg will be like. Being an egg is limiting, but Elucia knows that if he survives, he will eventually hatch into a dragon and gain immense power. From that moment on, he makes it his goal to survive. As he rolls through the forest, he encounters another creature. Moving closer, he identifies it as a dark worm, and according to its status screen, it carries the title Egg Eater. This immediately puts him in danger. Elucia rolls away as fast as he can, but the worm is faster, and simply fleeing will not save him. The dark worm has 8 hit points, which exceeds Elucia's maximum health, meaning any direct attack would result in his death. Remembering his fall damage resistance, Elucia formulates a plan. He lures the worm toward a nearby cliff and tricks it into falling with him. When they hit the ground, Elucia survives thanks to his resistance and the fact that he lands on the worm's body. The system then informs him that he has gained 12 experience points for killing the dark worm. As a result, he levels up and meets the requirements for evolution. The system presents him with an evolution tree and asks him to choose between the baby dragon path and the little dragon path. Elucia does not understand the difference, so the system explains that little dragons are a dwarf species of dragon. While smaller than most dragons, they can grow to the size of a bear and possess fire-breathing abilities. In contrast, baby dragons lack immediate strengths but have the potential to evolve into many different dragon species. Elucia considers his options. The little dragon appears to be the safer choice, but just as he is about to decide, he hears a different voice urging him to grow stronger and aim higher. This voice is distinct from the system and seems to be commenting on his evolution choice. While the little dragon offers safety, the baby dragon offers far greater long-term potential. Accepting the risk, Elucia chooses the baby dragon evolution. After evolving, his stats increase significantly, though his HP does not fully recover, meaning he still needs to rest. Soon after, Elucia's stomach begins to growl, and his attention drifts toward the dark worm's corpse. He realizes that his instincts are changing, as he would never have considered eating a worm before. With no other food options available, he eats it, confirming that his instincts as a dragon are taking over. The next morning, Elucia awakens fully healed, but he is still troubled by his circumstances. He does not know why he was reincarnated, who caused it, or who he was in his previous life. While he is certain he was once human, his memories are vague and unclear. Soon after, Elucia notices a group of dark worms approaching. Now that he is no longer an egg, he is able to fight back, defeating them one by one. The experience gained allows him to jump to level 3, unlocking Baby Fire Breath. He continues fighting, using this new ability to kill more worms, eventually reaching level 7, then level 15. As his strength grows, hunger sets in again. He considers eating more worms but finds them unappealing. Instead, he eats mushrooms he finds nearby, only to poison himself. Though he barely survives, he gains poison resistance. Still unwilling to eat worms, Ilusia searches for new prey, and soon encounters a gray wolf. Though the wolf is larger than him, its stats are lower. Ilusia attacks, killing it with fire punches. After inspecting the corpse, he realizes he can cook the meat with his flames. The cooked wolf meat becomes the best food he has eaten since arriving in this world. From then on, he hunts wolves regularly. By evening, Ilusia reaches level 20, though leveling slows as his strength increases. While his food situation improves, Ilusia feels isolated as the system refuses to answer his personal questions. Soon after, he hears voices in the forest and investigates. He discovers a group of humans. Though approaching them is risky, Ilusia does not want to remain alone and decides to reveal himself. The moment the adventurers see him, they attack, knowing baby dragon meat is valuable. Unable to communicate, Ilusia is injured and stunned by magic. Just as they are about to finish him off, a healer named Miria intervenes and stops them. Miria uses the last of her MP to heal Ilusia. Though he regains mobility, he pretends to remain injured. By listening to her speech, he gains a language skill. Suddenly, screams echo from deeper in the forest. Ilusia realizes a powerful monster must be nearby. Though he tries to stop Miria, she does not understand and runs off. Ilusia follows and arrives to find a massive C-rank rock dragon with over 200 hit points. Normally, he would flee, but when he sees Miria collapse, he refuses to leave her behind. The rock dragon attacks, and Ilusia barely dodges, earning the title King of Evasion. Overwhelmed by fear, he hides briefly, only to see Miria still alive but gravely wounded. Realizing she will die if he does nothing, Ilusia charges the rock dragon despite the divine voice urging him to flee. He distracts the monster, shoving a fireball into its mouth, but it survives and begins regenerating. With no other choice, Ilusia carries Miria away, fighting off wolves along the way. When he reaches a village, humans attack him, mistaking him for a threat. Unable to convince them otherwise, Ilusia leaves Miria safely behind and flees, earning the title Itty Bitty Hero. Days later, Miria awakens in Marielle's home, learning that her companions Doze and Grants were killed. Haunted by guilt, she struggles with fragmented memories of what happened. After recovering from his injuries, Ilusia reflects on everything that has happened over the past few days. He thinks back to his battle with the rock dragon and realizes that, despite using his strongest attacks, his fire barely made a difference. What shocked him most was discovering that the rock dragon possessed the ability to regenerate its HP. That realization alone makes one thing clear. If he wants to survive in this world, he needs to become far stronger. That means evolving. To unlock his next evolution, Ilusia focuses entirely on reaching level 25. He devises a risky method to farm experience efficiently by capturing a dark worm and hanging it from a tree, using it as bait to lure other worms. When they rush in to help, Ilusia defeats them one by one. The system labels his tactic as Call Allies and grants him the title Wrongdoer. Ilusia knows what he's doing is morally questionable, but he accepts it for now, telling himself that once he grows stronger, he won't need to rely on tactics like this anymore. Eventually, Ilusia reaches level 25. The system announces that he is eligible for evolution and displays a new evolution tree in front of him. This time, he is presented with 5 distinct paths. The first option is Mini Dragon. According to the divine voice, this form possesses a small body similar to a little dragon, but its individual growth is slow and its immediate power is limited. While many of its later evolutions have strong potential, Ilusia is discouraged by how long it would take to reach that strength. The second option is Mini Angel Dragon. This dragon is born with a protective spirit and vows to live for the sake of others. It gains access to white magic and healing abilities, but in exchange, it avoids combat. Ilusia considers this briefly, remembering Miria's magic and how it saved lives, but ultimately rejects it. He enjoys fighting and knows he needs offensive power to survive. The third option is Kid Dragon. This form is a direct progression from Baby Dragon, offering improved physical abilities and combat potential without major drawbacks. It is a stable and balanced choice, one that would allow him to continue growing steadily. The fourth option is Kid Marble Dragon, a mutated dragon variant with enhanced magical aptitude. This form offers unique abilities and higher magic potential, but its long-term growth path is uncertain, making it a risky and unpredictable choice. The final option is Young Plague Dragon. This form marks the beginning of an evil dragon lineage, one that spreads disaster and corruption wherever it goes. Ilusia immediately recoils at the description. The idea of becoming a being that brings suffering to others deeply unsettles him, and he is ready to dismiss the option outright. However, the system continues listing its traits. Among them is exceptionally high intelligence and the ability to transform into a human. Ilusha freezes. He shouts that he has no desire to become an evil dragon, yet the idea of regaining a human form shakes him to his core. He imagines returning to villages, speaking to people, making connections again, but choosing that path would mean spreading disease and destruction wherever he goes. The very thought fills him with conflict. Each option represents a different future: power, restraint, sacrifice, corruption, or balance. Ilusha struggles to decide what kind of existence he wants in this world. He thinks about Miria, the humans he saved, and the monsters he has fought. He wonders whether becoming stronger will push him further away from humanity, or whether strength is the only way to protect others. Unable to reach a decision, Ilusha screams in frustration, staring at the evolution tree as the screen waits for his choice. Overwhelmed and uncertain, Ilusha shouts in frustration, unable to decide which evolution path to choose. He believes that becoming a young plague dragon is dangerous, yet he cannot ignore his desire for human transformation so he can see Miria again. He convinces himself that if he chooses the plague dragon and later unlocks human transformation, he can still live a righteous life. With that belief, he finally makes his decision and evolves into a young plague dragon. As the evolution takes place, his wings grow larger and his body color changes. The divine voice announces that the evolution has succeeded. Ilusha looks at his reflection in the water and immediately feels regret, as his appearance now looks far more intimidating than before. The divine voice informs him that view statistics has increased from level 2 to level 3, allowing him to see more detailed information about his abilities. The divine voice continues listing the results of the evolution. The divine voice skill itself rises to level 2. Ilusha gains the ability to fly, the skill Dragon Scale Dust, and Light Bite, which evolves into Venomous Fang. He also acquires the Dark Attribute, Sickly Breath, and Paralyzing Poison Claws. As the list continues, Ilusha grows increasingly uneasy. The divine voice then announces that he has received the titles Calamity and Miscreant. After leveling up to level 2, everything about his new power feels disturbing, yet he continues to believe that human transformation will justify the choice he made. Suddenly, the divine voice falls silent. Ilusha panics and asks where the human transformation skill is, but receives no response. He asks whether he must level up further to obtain it, and the divine voice replies that it cannot provide that information at the current level before disappearing. Ilusha becomes despondent. He has gained many dangerous abilities, yet failed to obtain the one thing he wanted most. He asks again about the true identity of the divine voice, but is told that this information cannot be revealed at his current level. He then requests explanations for his newly acquired skills. The divine voice explains that Dragon Scale Dust releases a powerful miasma whenever he flaps his wings, affecting all nearby life. At its highest level, a dragon with this skill can destroy entire nations simply by flying. Ilusha spreads his wings slightly, and the plant beside him withers and dies. Realizing the destructive nature of his existence, he falls into despair. The divine voice then explains Sickly Breath, an attack that spreads a miasma filled with highly contagious diseases. It states that this ability has previously led to the destruction of entire civilizations. Ilusha wonders if he can still return to a heroic path. He then asks about his titles, sensing they will heavily influence his future. The divine voice explains the title Baby Dragon Hero, which represents courage and may one day elevate him to hero status, strongly shaping his evolution path. Next is the title Infester, given to those who spread death and destruction. This title strengthens dark-type abilities, but makes learning holy magic significantly more difficult. Ilusha calls it the worst possible title, wishes he could discard it, and regrets his decision, longing to return to being an innocent baby dragon. Meanwhile, in the village, Miria asks Marielle whether the protective stones around the village will be inspected. Marielle confirms that they generate a barrier. Miria asks if this barrier prevents monsters from entering, and Marielle explains that it merely discourages monsters on a subconscious level, though stronger monsters can still pass through. Miria recalls the small dragon and wonders if he truly intended to help her. She asks Marielle to tell her more about monsters. The elf notes that Miria has been fixated on monsters since the incident. Miria admits she cannot shake the feeling that she was saved by a dragon in the forest. Marielle warns her not to grow emotionally attached to monsters and begins explaining their nature. She explains that monsters grow stronger by hunting and gaining experience, evolving into more powerful forms over time. Miria points out that humans also level up. Marielle agrees, but explains that monsters have different maximum levels. When they reach those limits, they evolve and repeat the process, becoming increasingly dangerous. Miria finds it hard to believe that people in the past understood this system. Marielle responds irritably, reminding her that she explained it years ago when Miria was still a child. Marielle then explains that certain individuals, such as heroes or saints, are able to hear the divine voice and receive information directly. This is how humanity learned about monsters. She continues by stating that monsters are driven by survival and the instinct to grow stronger. Even if the dragon saved Miria once, the next time they meet, he may have evolved into something hostile. Horrified, Miria begs Mariel to stop. Mariel tells her that monsters embody the instinct to fight and are fundamentally incompatible with humans, warning her not to place hope in them. Back with Alucia, he resolves to grow stronger and return to what he believes is the correct path, becoming a hero and reuniting with Miria. He searches for weaker monsters, but suddenly feels his body restrained. He realizes that threads have bound his limbs and that he has entered a spider's territory. The spider immediately attacks, firing webs without hesitation. In desperation, Alucia ignites his body in flames to melt the threads. He panics and rolls across the ground, but the system alerts him that he has acquired fire resistance, easing his fear slightly. He notices that the spider has taken some damage and is partially restrained. Taking advantage of this, he attacks with his claws, applying paralyzing poison and landing multiple blows. After checking his stats, he realizes he has only reduced the spider's HP by half. Knowing he cannot win, he chooses to retreat. He rolls away, but the spider pursues him. He attempts to fly, but his wings cannot yet support his weight. He tries repeatedly and fails, believing his level is still too low. After 10 minutes of non-stop pursuit, the spider shows no signs of slowing down. The system announces that roll has increased from level 2 to level 3, and he gains the title Chicken Runner. Spotting a cliff, Alucia considers his options. His flight ability remains unreliable, but he has no choice but to attempt the jump. At the last moment, his flight succeeds, allowing him to escape. Exhausted, he lands and turns back, believing the spider has given up. He promises himself that he will defeat her once he becomes stronger. However, he soon sees a bridge made of web, and the spider leaps in front of him, restarting the chase. His roll skill increases to level 4, but it offers little reassurance. By accident, Alucia runs over a lion, gaining experience. Due to his walking egg title, he rapidly levels from 1 to 3, then continues trampling smaller creatures until he reaches level 8. Feeling stronger, he analyzes the spider's abilities and discovers double poison. Uncertain of its effects, he attacks with baby breath at full power. The spider counters with poison, burning his throat despite his resistance. He realizes the spider is waiting for the poison to take effect, but it does not. Pretending to weaken, Alucia lures her closer and finishes her with baby breath and a downward strike. As a result, he levels up from 8 to 14. Though victorious, Alucia is deeply disappointed that he still has not obtained human transformation. Baby breath increases to level 3, and he gains Dragon Tail, but the transformation does not appear. He suspects there is still something he must learn. That night, he returns to the lion's body and discovers a cave. Finding no one inside, he eats the meat, improving its taste with fruit juice. Satisfied, he considers using the cave as a future base. The system grants him the title Chief Lord, making him uncomfortable. As he rests, he imagines interacting with villagers, then dismisses the thought after remembering his appearance. Angrily, he demands the human transformation, unwilling to accept a future of isolation. Meanwhile, in the village, Miria overhears an old man claiming he saw a strange figure near the lake. Though others dismiss the story, Miria is intrigued. Later, she tells Mariel and asks to search the forest. Mariel forbids it and instead promises to contact the guild. Miria apologizes, though Mariel remains uneasy. Back with Alucia, he encounters a slime-like monster and attempts to view its statistics. His vision distorts, and the system warns that view statistics at level 3 is insufficient. Having just reached level 4, he briefly sees the information before continuing on his journey. The slime suddenly lunges at the protagonist, but he reacts instantly, activating his rolling ability and fleeing the area. He manages to escape, yet he is left unsettled by what he just encountered. Its statistics revealed almost nothing, but more than that, he could sense that it was something he should never approach under any circumstances. Deciding not to dwell on it, he deliberately changes direction and continues deeper into the forest. While searching for meat, he notices a jar resting beside a tree. Thinking it could be useful for storing fruit or supplies, he reaches for it. Without warning, the jar springs to life, spinning violently and striking him in the face. Only then does he realize it is a monster. The divine voice identifies it as a D-rank turtle. He is stunned that a turtle can disguise itself as a jar. He immediately attacks with a dragon punch, but it only deals a single point of damage. He follows up with repeated attacks and eventually knocks the turtle over with his tail, only for it to activate rest and recover all of its HP instantly. Refusing to give up, he continues attacking until he suddenly wonders whether the turtle is an aquatic type. Acting on this idea, he throws it into the water. The turtle panics, and moments later he gains 36 experience points. Thanks to his title, he receives bonus experience and levels up from 14 to 15. He considers the fight finished, but the divine voice announces that he has gained the title Crook King and that his rogue title has increased from level 2 to level 3. As he turns around, he freezes. Several more turtles are gathered behind him. He quickly remembers the scream the previous turtle let out before falling into the water and realizes it must have called for help. The turtles stack themselves into a towering formation, advancing toward him. The protagonist takes to the air, grabs the top turtle, and slams it into the ground. He repeats this over and over until the entire group is defeated. Through this battle, he acquires the meteorite ability, exciting him as he realizes that certain actions can unlock new skills. Soon after, the divine voice announces that he has earned 594 experience points. With bonus experience from his titles, he surges from level 15 all the way to level 30. His flying skill increases from level 1 to level 2, and view statistics rises from level 4 to level 5. He is thrilled by the sudden growth, though disappointed when the turtle shells shatter and cannot be used as containers. Still, he has gained a large amount of meat and significant power. As the excitement fades, he begins thinking about balance in his diet and wonders where he can find vegetables. Despite evolving so much, he still has not obtained human transformation. With only 10 levels remaining before his next evolution, doubt creeps in as he questions whether the transformation will ever appear. At that moment, unfamiliar sounds echo through the forest, multiple footsteps approaching. Investigating, he encounters a monster unlike anything he has seen before. He attempts to view its statistics, but it is too far away, revealing only its species. The divine voice identifies it as a D-rank clay bear with an extremely high recovery rate. Since they share the same rank, he wonders if he has a chance of winning. He briefly questions whether it is truly a bear or simply clay-shaped like one, but dismisses the thought. What matters is that defeating it would give him clay he could freely mold into pots, jugs, and cups. He follows the bear quietly and launches a surprise attack from behind, striking with his fists. Instantly, the bear opens its mouth wide and nearly swallows him whole. He barely resists and realizes this creature behaves nothing like a normal bear. The bear presses forward, but he rolls to evade and counterattacks from behind, dropping its HP from 40 to 25. Confident, he assumes the fight will be simple, until the bear instantly regenerates. At that moment, he understands this battle will not be quick. He circles the bear, thinking carefully. Using meteorite is impossible while the bear is grounded, so he switches to a hit-and-run strategy, striking its back and retreating before it can counter. The bear continues to regenerate, but he believes victory will come once its MP is exhausted. Suddenly, the bear releases a thunderous roar that shakes the forest. A violent sandstorm forms, obscuring everything. When it clears, the bear reveals a new form, its body covered in sharp thorns. This transformation shakes his confidence. Rolling will now be far more dangerous. As he considers his options, he realizes his MP is running low. In that moment, the bear hurls a thorn at him. He narrowly dodges and notices something unusual. Acting on instinct, he tears off one of the bear's arms and confirms his suspicion. The clay softens once separated from the body. Using this insight, he compresses the clay into a sphere and heats it with meteorite, finally defeating the bear. The system announces that he has gained 300 experience points, and thanks to the Walking Egg title, he rises 3 levels. He also acquires a new skill called nutcracking. Though surprised by the name, he is relieved to finally have access to usable clay. Leaving it to cook, he heads back into the forest in search of food. He comes across unusual mushrooms, but discards them after learning they are poisonous. Soon after, he encounters a large plant that suddenly reacts and attacks him. The system warns that it is a rare carnivorous plant. While dangerous, it cannot tolerate salt, which he needs for cooking, so he takes it with him. The scene shifts to Maria walking through the forest. Although Marielle advised her to let the guild handle the investigation, guilt weighs heavily on her. A testimony from B, who claimed to see someone walking nearby, pushes her to search on her own. When a dark worm appears, she defeats it with a fireball and continues forward, more cautiously this time. Back with the dragon, he observes a D-rank mushroom monster. When fully grown, these creatures become mobile and aggressive, but their flavor resembles meat. He imagines how well it would work in a broth. Nearby, he discovers even rarer mushrooms, known as Morotrogia. These mushrooms have historically brought prosperity or ruin to nations due to their hallucinogenic effects. Ignoring their danger, he burns them and instead collects valuable Piper's mushrooms, which are worth their weight in gold. Miria reaches the most dangerous part of the forest, but is overcome by fear and decides to turn back toward the village. Returning to the dragon's den, he prepares soup using a luminous mushroom. After adding salt, the dish finally tastes right, and the flavor reminds him of his former life. The system announces that his cook title has increased from level 1 to level 2. He notes that the small container makes eating difficult, so he plans to use clay to craft a larger bowl. He also begins making bricks for a wall, earning the title Potterist. The next morning, a carriage arrives near the forest. The coachman informs the passengers they have reached their destination. A human and a demi-human sent by the guild enter the forest. Meanwhile, back at the den, the dragon prepares meat by cutting and skinning wolves, seasoning them, and leaving them to dry. As he walks through the forest, he reflects on how accustomed he has become to this world. When he returns, he finds monkeys stealing his meat. He scares them off and devises a plan to stop them by mixing poison mushrooms into the food. He notes that he can now easily distinguish poisonous plants. Following flower petals carried by the wind, he arrives at a breathtaking clearing. Suddenly, a small and extremely rare creature appears. Viewing its statistics, he learns it is a poisonous princess, a species that relies entirely on poison-based abilities. Before he can react, it flees. A stake suddenly strikes the ground nearby, distracting him just long enough for the creature to attack. He reacts and takes flight, but it vanishes into the tree canopy, leaving behind a faint laugh. Assuming the threat has passed, he lowers his guard. Moments later, poison begins spreading through his body. His senses dull, his vision blurs, and he collapses, realizing too late that everything had unfolded exactly as the creature planned.